Hey everybody, it's Chris over at Xplane Farm, and today I'm going to be replacing the motherboard on my PC. So why am I doing this? It's an excellent question. I am a flight sim enthusiast. Xplane 12 came out, requires quite a bit beefier setup than what I had. So what I had was an i7 4700K, 8 years old technology at this point, and as a matter of fact I got the CPU for free and the RAM for free. I just had to buy the motherboard. So yeah, it's past its prime. So I am going to replace the motherboard, the CPU, the RAM, and I have an SSD, but that runs on the SATA port, which is fast, but not as fast as what's out now, which is the M2. The hard drive, the SSD speed should be like 2 to 7 times faster with that, plus the RAM's faster, the CPU's faster, everything should be faster. So we'll see if this thing works. So I've already kind of pre-assembled here the motherboard. I've got the CPU in place, got the RAM in place, got the M2 in place. But look at this beefy CPU cooler. It came highly recommended, but I am worried, is it going to fit in that case? I'm not sure, so I'm going to have to do some experiments and hope and pray. But first thing is first, getting rid of the stuff inside there. So it's a little tight in here with all the cables, and I think I may have figured out a better way to route those cables, but we'll just have to see. Yeah, let's get the GPU out, let's get some of the fans out, and let's hope for the best. Well, we ran into an issue, which is why I started doing this on a Friday night while Marissa's gone for the weekend. So notice that this motherboard is quite a bit smaller than that motherboard, which means my case is not the right size. So this motherboard fits in that case just fine, but this motherboard does not. So I will have to buy a new case, which means I have to go to Best Buy tomorrow. So even though it's a slight setback, not much, I'm going to install the CPU fan properly. So I just dry fit it. I'm going to put the thermal paste on now and screw it down and do it properly. And I've also already hooked up the USB 2.0 header and the COM port header. That'll save a little bit of time because it gets a little fiddly when you get down here, and I can also plug in the fan and that kind of stuff as well. So yeah. Small setback, but I mean, you know. Well, good morning. So I woke up at 7, brought in all the horses, fed the horses, medicated the horses. Some of them need eye medicine, some of them need oral medicine. Then I went to a feed store and got 6 bags of Outlast because that feed store has the Outlast $15 less a bag than Tractor Supply. Came back, dropped it off. Then went out to McDonald's because I knew I wasn't going to eat lunch because I'd be doing this. Went to Tractor Supply, got 6 bags of alfalfa pellets because that's the alfalfa pellets the horses like. Drove to Best Buy. I had already pre-ordered and paid for it online last night for my case. 10 o'clock, doors opened. There was a crowd of people already there. So I joked to Marissa, said I guess they needed a motherboard case too. But yeah, everyone went to go buy stuff. I went right to the store pickup. It already said it was ready. You hit the button, show them your phone where it's got a barcode, give them an ID, and they just walked it. Here it is. It's all done. So took 2 seconds, and here's the case. So much bigger, and it's got this nice glass panel. So yeah, let's get to it. And by the way, your hands will get bloody with this. There's just no way around it because it's all just sharp metal, and you're jabbing your hands in there. Alright, so we got the power supply in, and we've got some cables routed so that way they don't show up on the other side. And here we are from this side. Almost there. Getting there. Real close. The trick is not to rush, right? Just take your time. Make sure everything's plugged in right. Don't screw things on too tight. Make sure it fits. Don't jam. Don't scratch. Slow. More blood. Well, look at this monstrosity. Super quiet, but if you thought we were just going to be ready to go, well, of course you're wrong. There's a whole bunch of setups. And also, we're not going to use the UEFI booting system. We're going to use Legacy BIOS because that's what the old hard drive was set for. There's no real reason to change. Plus, I'm only going to gain like 2 or 3 seconds in a boot time, even if I did it. And I don't reboot this computer very often, you know, once a month at most. So it'll be fine, and it'll just be easier to set up. So here we are, going to do the compatibility support module, and we should be good to go. But so far, so good. Oh, Give me a heart attack there for a second. Whew. So right now this isn't working quite right. The screen is dead and it's doing 640 by 480, but I'm just doing an update real quick, and hopefully it'll realize whatever it needs to make the screens work with this motherboard. Man, that took a long time. So that was like a half an hour. My resolution on my screen was just blown up to 640 by 480 and only one screen. And it was hidden in the BIOS because nothing's labeled normal things. So it was like SA, and then you'd go down and change the graphics from auto to PCIe because I have a graphics card. But finally got a nice graphics card up. So now I'm going to download the new version of Clonezilla, so that way hopefully I can clone this disk to the M2. So here I am cloning the disk. I'm saying device to device, so I've got to really pay attention because I could wipe out everything. So let me pay attention. I mean, they're dead serious, right? So they give you a big warning. You're going to delete this disk. So yes, I'm good. Because this is a solid state drive to an even faster solid state drive, you can see we're going like 15, 16 gigs a minute. So this should really only take a few minutes. But the guy is here cutting the grass, so let me go pay him and soak some feed. Looks like it's 6 more minutes. And now we're going to 25.5 gigs a second, so it's moving right along. Are you excited? You look excited. Look adorable. So here I am using a program called Gparted. So the original disk that I had was 500 gigs, but this is a 1 terabyte. So I've got all this unallocated space. What I'll do is I'll take the last partition, which is basically my home and work and all the good stuff, and I'll just extend it out. So that way I've got plenty of room. So one of the more interesting things is the keys to my Xplane 11 and Xplane 12 aircraft and the program itself need to be re-entered, and that's because it authenticates against the hardware. So I changed the hardware, so now I've got to re-authenticate with all the different keys. So it's going to be a lot of typing for a while. And one of the other interesting things is modern towers don't have drive bays that are 5 1/4. So I had a DVD burner because, I mean, I still burn DVDs or I rip CDs if I've got music because, you know, I'm old, right? A lot of music on CD. Can't use one of those. Had to get an external drive. So luckily Amazon, 20 bucks. DVD burner, CD burner, so plugs in via USB. So just a little external guy. You know, shipped in less than 24 hours, but that was another thing I had to buy. So we're going to start with the whole reason why I'm upgrading the computer, and that's for the Dash 8, the Q4 XP. And we're going to load up in Charlotte here in marginal weather. And you can see the frame rate is real low, between 13 and 15 frames a second. And it also took 3 minutes to load it up here into Charlotte, which is a real long time when you want to get flying. So the worse the weather, the harder it is on the frame. So here we're going to try it with the new computer, and we are up to 30 frames a second. And it took 51 seconds to load. So the frame rate is important because you have to be above 20 to be on the VATSIM network. Otherwise, what happens is when it's below 20, you're going in half the time. So now we're going to try a real tough one, which is LaGuardia. Now we're in the stock MD80, but we're getting about 18 to 25 frames a second here. It took 2 minutes and 15 seconds to load up. But all those little buildings, you know, and things in LaGuardia count against you. But here's the new computer. We're 24 to 34 frames a second, and it only took 1 minute and 3 seconds. So about half the time, and yeah, doing pretty good. So Farmingdale took 2 minutes to load up here, 30 frames a second. In the Twin Comanche, it's the same thing. Long Island's got a lot of just little stuff, and so all those little buildings count against you. And here we're in just kind of, you know, VFR broken kind of weather. And here in the new computer, 45 to 50 frames a second, it only took 52 seconds. So half the time to load up for the simulator. It's the next day. Very happy. Everything is working out great. Xplane is way faster. The planes are faster. I should be quite happy. I will have to probably upgrade the video card at some point. So I've got the 1660 NVIDIA TI, which has like 1500 CUDA cores, and there is coming out the 4060 Ti, which has like 4500 CUDA cores and double the RAM and all that. So I think it retails for 400 bucks. I don't know, it's not out yet, so that'll be at the end of the year, maybe, or maybe not. I mean, maybe I'll just stick to what I've got. Load up time's much quicker. Frame rates, quicker. I won't have any problems going online with my favorite aircraft anymore. Rendering the video to make this was way quicker. So that also. Everything's quicker. And quieter. It's much quieter. I think it's because it's got the intake and outtake fans. I think everything is just open and it's much cooler. So that's also nice. And it doesn't really take up that much more room. I was able to fit it in between the desk and the other piece of furniture here, so it's fine. The USBs are the 3.0, so those data speeds are quicker. The final cost was $640 for everything, and then I had to buy another case, so that was another $120, and another $20 for the DVD-ROM drive, so that's $140 plus $640, so $780. $780 for the computer upgrade. The only thing I didn't upgrade was the power supply. I mean, otherwise this is a brand new everything. It's just the power supply I reused at this point. So, oh, and the 2 hard drives, I guess, right? The Platter hard drives. I did reuse those as well. Quite happy. I got a bonus. I got a raise. I got a new job title. This is the way to celebrate on me. And all this is still cheaper than a couple hours of flight time. So, for Dixieland Farm, everybody, thanks so much for watching. Take care.